Live from New York, it's Saturday night. I've always wanted to do that, sorry. Couldn't resist tonight. Welcome to the show, everyone. Saturday Night Live here with me, Mike from Black Cats Nation, and Conrad. We should be joined later by Emma as well, possibly. So we're just here to discuss, well, what we thought was going to be a loss with everyone's predictions this week from the channel, Conrad. So what was your take on it?
Well, I just wanted to say, just before we started, you know, when you said you loaded up the video, I sat there and I went, "You're not going to press live," and we never said who was going to do it. And as the countdown got closer, I went, "I best press live just to be on the safe side." So we nearly started talking to ourselves, everyone.
We usually do anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone thought of a loss apart from Terry, who actually said a 3-1 win. So Jensen Seal popping up at the end just to make sure that Terry got the points. So I think Seal must be an avid watcher of us and Terry, I guess. But yeah, it was a strange one because it didn't have put in the group something like it's a win-win. This really, because if we win, we win and we're happy. If we draw, it'll be toxic against Beale, and if we lose, it'll be very toxic against Beale. So it was sort of there wasn't a negative way out of it for me. But now I feel like
is this not the negative?
I'm sort of like we've won, but at what cost? And how long is this going to go on for? But no, always nice to win. I thought second half, I thought we played really well. First half was very, very drab and not much going on apart from Bairstow's goal. And yes, Jacob, it is Bairstow's goal. It was on target before the defender knocked. He was trying to justify this whole time that it was an own goal. And it's like he stood on the line when it hits him. It can't not be Bairstow's goal.
I must admit, though, Bairstow looked a bit stunned that it went in himself. He was in a bit of disbelief.
He was trying his hardest to head it back to the defender, so there was a little bit of that. But yeah, and then I thought second half, I just thought I'm not saying we were amazing, we just went up a level, and Stoke couldn't really deal with that. And two lovely goals, like Barr held off his man well, played it out to Clark and got it back to him for a lovely finish, and then did great on the right-hand side to give it to Ekwar to get one as well. And as we've been saying for a few weeks, Ekwar is much better in an advanced position, much better as a number 8 rather than the 6 that I think they've previously been trying to shoehorn him into. So yeah, it wasn't too bad. Hopefully something to build on, I'd like to say.
Yeah, it was interesting because I expected the same as you, like it to be a very toxic atmosphere and stuff like that. And obviously, we'll touch on it after this shortly. The Pritchard announcement just before was, I thought we'd written that game off there. Well, just in the comments, we've got David Humphrey. He said, just don't look at the stats. All the highlights and everything is fine. But for God's sake, don't look at the XG.
I don't look at XG anyway. I barely understand it. Just give me shots on target.
We've also got Conrad Tank, Stephen Martin, David Walker, Stephen Clark, and Keno in the chat.
As well as 44. Yeah, I was about to say 44 others.
So make sure you hit like. We'll get through some comments in a bit. I tell you what, I did. What do you think, if anything, Beale's influence was on the game? I thought it was a lot more. He looked more vocal on the sideline today than I've seen in any other game.
Yeah, they kept cutting to him on the stream that I had on, and it seemed to be that he was trying to sort of, I don't want to say man motivate, but definitely orchestrate a bit more of our play, as it were, and be more involved. And I think he didn't really have a choice in the first half, because if he'd have just let that go without sort of even looking like he was going to do anything about it, I think we'd have all been, all had sore voices in the morning from booing so much at half time. But he seemed to be a bit more like, I know what we need to do here, and I know where we can make these little changes. It might have been the formation that helped us as well. It seemed to be, and you watched a bit of this as well. Instead of the 4-2-3-1 that we love, it seemed to be sort of a 4-1-4-1 almost. There was quite a lot in behind the striker. There wasn't always a sitting midfielder, but there was always one of them that would just sit back. If he was like the deepest one, it would just be him. It wasn't, you are this bloke and you don't move. It was a case of if Dan Neil was further back, he just wouldn't go forward. If Job was further back, he just wouldn't go. So it seemed to be very sort of fluid, sort of defensive midfielder protection rather than how rigid we've been in the past. And maybe this is the way that he'll sort of mix it up a bit going forward.
So do you think putting him in a defensive midfielder role has scuppered Ekwa since? Because we've always thought it's been since his dead leg. But is it because he's not been given that freedom to go forward? Because he looked better, not just for the goal today, but on everything.
Yeah, he seemed to hold the ball up a bit. I did think he got bullied by the Asian player at one point too easily. And I'm like, you're about 2 foot taller than him. Like, how have you managed to get pushed off the ball there and sort of did a bit of a kick out? But yeah, if we've actually sort of gone, okay, actually, you're not what we thought you were, and you're actually a bit better going forward and more of a technical player, then let's use that from you. Lovely finish on his left foot as well. Bit annoyed that he didn't hit the target in the first half with an effort that he had when he sort of put it wide. I know there was a bit of a deflection on it, but you're sort of sitting there going, if you want to play that advanced role, that's the type you need to at least test the keeper from there.
Yeah, he could have got the fourth as well. He skied one as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he had a few. So it was quite nice to see. Sorry, Jacob's just gone, oh, come on, give me the link. So I'm just going to do that a moment.
Yeah. Well, we'll have a look through some comments just so we don't get overloaded too much by them. So Keno said, goal came at the right time, as prior to that it was scrappy and in danger of being a chorus of boos at half time. Which, to be honest, I expected anyway, even though we were winning.
There was a little bit, especially some of the comments that have been this week from Beale. It was some interesting choice of words throughout the week, really. But he's not been right at all in what he said. And it was a very strange thing to do, to try and sort of flip it back on the fans. So yes, I expected, even if we're winning, this is not going to be good. I expected fans stood by the dugout almost, like when he came out, to have a proper go at him, but it didn't quite happen. But like you say, I think that goal at halftime sort of maybe just took that off him a bit. So he got the halftime talk, and then we actually built on that, and you're a bit like, okay, you're not forgiven, and I still want you gone.
Yeah.
But you've bought yourself another week, is what I'm going to say.
Even though we were 3-0 up and they got the own goal, we got the goal for them.
All 4. It was like when Charlton came here in 2003, we scored all 4 goals.
Well, we got the goal for them, and then I don't know if you had the Sunderland commentary on, that you heard Beale out for a few of them. I'm like, oh, come on. So they're definitely not giving up with the campaign.
I heard it was weirdly a Stoke commentary that was the only one that I could get, and they were quite funny because they seemed to be like worried that their fans were going to think this is a cup game, because every 5 minutes they're like, this is a championship fixture, one of only 2, so don't worry, everyone. It is a league game. It's like, no one's worried whether it's a league game or a cup game. They just want the team to win, no matter what they're in. Who cares? Even they, though, reference Beale going, he's under pressure, and he said some very interesting things about his own fans. So it's at least nice to notice that other fans and other teams have gone, hang on, that's a bit funny. That's a bit strange.
Stephen Martin's got some ambition. He said, we need to go on a winning run of 9 to 10 games. That certainly would be nice.
It would. It would.
Ian Barron, our resident Darlow fan, Darlow, who won 2-0 today as well. He said the most important stat is the full-time score, simples. Mentioning the stats, if you look at them now, they're not great. 42% possession, 75% pass accuracy. We had 8 shots, 5 on target. They had 15 and 4. Now, in the first half, when we were a bit flat, we had 80-odd% possession. It was only after the fact that kind of has dropped down. But is that not better stats? We've had 8 shots and 5 on target compared to when we're doing 16 shots and 1 on target. You know what I mean?
It's certainly, it's not great reading. I mean, I don't know, Jacob, what did you think? I mean, we've just talked about the stats of the game. What did you make of it all?
To be honest, stats-wise, I thought, the first 45 minutes, even though we were a goal up, I thought Stoke more clinical in the final third with the chances they had. I think we had about a few half chances up until the point when Burstow scored. But yeah, I think second half, I think obviously we had more threat in the final third. Obviously we scored 2 more goals, but I think it was the counter-attack that won us the game. Stats-wise, I think, since Michael Beale's coming, I think his aim was always going to be to try and get us set up better defensively compared to Mowbray, make us harder to break down and catch teams on the break a lot more effectively compared to what we were doing in Mowbray's last few weeks. But yeah, I think it was always good about considering the form we were in. I think he would have been happy even if Stoke had the ball at certain points in the game, that we'll be able to pick them off when we won back possession with the quick, pacey players we had on the side, which we did, particularly in the second half.
Can I ask, is that your hand on the camera, or is it the back of a naked person's knee?
What's my finger? I may have to switch the phone around. There we go.
That's much better. That's a lot less suspect.
Love the commitment. Joining us from bed there, Jacob. That's great.
Yeah, very tired.
Wayne didn't do it last week when he was bedridden and ill, so this is proper commitment.
So let's. I'll read 2 or 3 comments, then we'll get back to the point like a few of them have made. Tony Huntington, hi guys. Pritchard calamity takes the shine off the win, only offering him his foolish. They could have sold him after a season and made the money. Now they lose it all. Affects the FFP. Alan Carr says, we've been beat plenty of times this season by mediocre teams. It was a good win as one today. It was as good to win one today, sorry. Stephen Clark says, this result to me is papered over the cracks with no signing and Pritch on his way out. As for the play, I noticed there was less playing from the back. Pato seemed to kick the ball up the field more.
I noticed that as well, that when Patterson got the ball every time, he seemed to be rushing out to the edge of his box looking for his options. There was a lovely bit in the second half where he did, it's going to be very complimentary, a Pickford-esque pick out where he sort of sidewinder kicked it all the way out to Clark, who was straight in on goal from there. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, it might have just fallen to a chance or one that we just put a bit too far over. And it was a bit like, that's it. That's better. He seemed to be coming out and claiming corners and free kicks a lot better this time as well. And of course, he still was there for the saves that he had to make. And the only time he was beaten, thankfully, Luke O'Nien was behind him to sort of knock it out of the way, really. That was the only one that I thought, well, hang on, we're in trouble here. And that was in their spell in the first half, really.
But also the frustrating thing with Pat, how many times in particularly the first half, where he got the ball, retrieved it, and then we had the opportunity to break straight away, and he just allowed Stoke to get back in position.
It's going to take him time. There was a couple of bits where, yes, he sort of was like looking for it, and then it was like, chance has gone, mate. So just calm. Whereas there was once or twice where you went, bang, you've got it, bang, you've got it. You're like, that's it. That's what we need. So whether it be Clark on one side and Barr on the other, that just every time they see Patterson gets the ball, just go, we'll go for it. So you always know he's got those options. Yes, he might get defenders or attackers who sort of get in his way and slow him down from kicking it and that. But yes, I think it's sort of very much if this is a new thing that he's doing, then good start. Let's have more of it.
It's better because it's smart distribution. It's not just, we play short or, we play long. It's reading the game. And that's what you get from an experienced keeper. So maybe the more experience he's getting, that's why that's now starting to come in more.
We still did some playing out from the back today and what have you like that. And I'm still not 100% comfortable with it. Although I think one person who is absolutely fantastic at playing out the back, and he had an absolute cracking game today, and it was Sealed. I thought he was absolutely fantastic today. Everything he did, whether it was going forward or bullying their sort of side, their wingers or anything like that, he was absolute unit. It's just a shame that he got the own goal, which is a bit like...
But it's cursed, because Ballard had the game of his life and scored an own goal in it.
With the goal that Stoke scored, I was going to put this... Do you think Patterson should have been more commanding?
There was a little bit, there was the shot just after where it was deflected and gone out for a corner, and he seemed to make it like his life mission to stop it from going out for a corner. Whereas that goal, it seemed to be, he waited and watched to see what it did instead of thinking, just get in the way of the ball, He seemed to always go, it's going to hit the post. I'll stand here and just wait to see that it bounces to me. And then the spin and everything just sort of completely fooled him and rolled in. And you're a bit like, dive, mate. Even if you put it out for a corner, we can just sort of go, miscommunication, Seal knocked it back. It wasn't out. It was at the post. You just had to clear your lines. It's fine. We move on. That way just makes you go, Seal, it's not your fault. I know you're just looking, you're just clearing it. Nothing's behind you. You've got it wrong. However, it still shouldn't have gone in. And I do feel like when I watched it back, I was a bit like, I would have just thrown myself in the way of the post. Do you know what I mean? Just been like, at least if I'm here, it shouldn't go in. But I'm not a professional goalie, so
yeah,
I'd have headbutted the post.
So Stephen Amos says, look what happened to Gooch. Pritchard's going. We don't want older, experienced players. So I've only highlighted that comment so we can kind of get onto that. I'm gutted. I'll tell you that straight away. But I, as well as being gutted, I kind of knew this was coming, even when they said they've offered him a new contract. Conrad, you know that I'd already made a video saying goodbye Pritchard last week, and it was just set to private. So, I kind of had that feeling it was already going to happen. What's your take on that? We'll go you first, Jacob.
Sorry, just repeat that again, Michael.
What's your take on the whole Pritchard thing?
I thought the timing of the news when it got released, I thought was absolutely horrendous. I thought, unless the players knew beforehand of what was happening to the full extent. But listen, if he's someone who's wanting extra money and putting on extra demands in order for him to get a new deal, or whether it's a case of him falling out with Michael Beale, whatever happens at the end of the day, he does not want to play for us anymore. We just simply have to move on. And listen, this is not also, let's put a reminder out here, Alex Pritchard, this is not the first time that this has happened during his career. I think when there was issues when he left Huddersfield, I remember, left a sour taste amongst the Huddersfield fan base in terms of how things ended for him there. I think there was problems at Norwich regarding new contracts as well. So it's not the first time this has happened to Pritchard, but yeah, it's just an unfortunate ending because he's been, I think he was the catalyst when he came in for us getting out of League One. He was the key signing that started off the.
It was a bit of a coup that we got him so low, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was a bit of a coup. Yeah.
It replaced at that point McGeady, who couldn't quite play for us in League One anymore because his final season McGeady didn't really feature that much. So Pritchard sort of took that mantle up, not same in the goal contributions, but definitely in that quality to sort of just drive us forward or retain the ball as well. But yeah, it's a weird one because I sort of get the point of like, this is dodgy, and I still think the ownership are to blame for it. I also think Beale's to blame for it. However, if the story's true about just refusing to play, that's a bit like of a slap in the face to the fans. The fans love you and want you to stay. Okay, the other things have gone on, but surely just still play, and then you can still say, I want to leave to the board and whoever else, but I'm still going to do my job while I'm here. Because it's a bit of a sort of, I don't know, it just feels it feels wrong to I don't know if it's true, and it could be a narrative thing that they've put out and gone, okay, well, if you want to leave, you're not involved in the squad, and we'll just take it from here. And they could have lied, I guess, but I don't know. But you would imagine it seemed like another thing to distract the fans from Beale going into the game today, that an hour before kickoff, they're just like, oh, one of our best players that you all like has said he wants to leave and's not playing anymore. And all of a sudden, you're not bothered about Mike Beale anymore. You're like, what the hell's this about?
I see. My take would be Pritchard, I think, is loyal. I think he likes the Sunderland fan base. He's always the one coming around clapping the fans. He's always appreciated it. He's always spoke highly of it all and the club. And like I say, he came in at a very low level and got us up there. To me, I think my speculation is he was on the team sheet on the bench. And he's had a contract offer that doesn't anywhere near touch his value. He's already on like almost a third of what Bradley Dack's on, for God's sake.
Well, yes, you brought this up in our group chat the other day that he's on about, 6K Pritchard?
Yeah.
And Dack's on 15K?
Yeah. So if they've got on a renewal and got him with less...
deal.
Yeah, they got him with less money on a 1-year deal, and they've put him on the bench again because he's not been starting every single game anyway, has he? So if they've done all that, I can completely understand and get behind why he's done that.
I don't think he likes Mike Beale either, though. Like, I know that shout at whichever ground it was the other week, where we all think, it was actually about French Dave on the far side. I think it's just Beale will probably be a bit like, I don't like the way you're speaking to me. Like, and
yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like,
I'm a yes man, so you must be a yes man too.
Yeah, there's something a bit about that he probably thinks I don't want him. Do you know what I mean? And he's probably gone, it's fine.
David Brown says, speak MSN out. MSN went out quite a long time ago.
I was thinking that before MSN. That's the exact same joke I wanted to say. I was like, MSN went years ago.
Yeah, but yeah, Speakman out is interesting. I think I'm going to reserve my judgment on Speakman out until the end of the transfer window. If he can nail Ahmad for us, I'll love him again. Jason Black says, Silt would be better partnered with 09. They should swap positions. And Keno said Silt and Ballard were excellent today. Who signed these chaps? Emma, welcome to the welcome to the celebrations of the game and the commiserations of Pritchard.
Yes.
You're late to the party. Let's have your quick take on both.
How was the pizza?
First.
Oh, the pizza was lovely. I'm a bit like
the pizza
floated. It's like, oh, why did I say I was coming out? I could just sit in my jammies and chill now. But you know,
yeah.
But the pizza was spot on, half price. You know, what more can you want?
Exactly. What was it? You had a proper question there, Mike. Sorry,
sorry.
To ask about food.
We'll start with what's your take on the game then today?
A win's a win, I suppose. I'm still all Beale out. Get out of our club and do one. First half,
okay,
it was quite flat. It was quite boring. It was just nothing, and I don't know how we scored. It just like sort of come out of nowhere, in my opinion. But sort of second half, we come out. It was like something's been said. They've had that arse's kick. Basically, they come out with a completely different team. But again, that is typical Sunderland, a team of two halves. They kind of play the same game for a full 90 minutes. There was some good little. I'll rephrase that. There was some decent things going on the pitch from Patterson more than anybody, I think. If I'm honest with you, Patterson. It was like he was in command today, sort of thing on that pitch. If that makes any sort of sense.
No, we were just saying the same thing, really.
You could sort of see him like saying, "Look, who wants it? Where's it going? What am I doing with it?" I did notice that Beale was a bit more. He had his hands out within the first 5 minutes, so there was something as well. But I have noticed that if there's a corner, Beale hides. No matter what side it is, he like sort of retracts from pitch side and goes back to the dugout.
Is this Michael Beale cam now?
Do we have
an eye on him?
Do we have a set piece coach or anything like that?
I don't think so. If we do, it's a toddler.
No. Fair enough. I imagine he goes back. I don't think it's quite on the level of Steve Bruce hides from penalties and stuff like that. But it's probably something where he's trying to think about. Or talk to someone about, well, actually, that didn't work. That didn't work with this. That's what I would take from it. But it would be a weird one to hide from corners because famously, we don't score from corners or anything like that. So what you're hiding from?
We concede.
Yeah, exactly. That's where it
well,
all
no,
goes
to
wrong.
be fair, our record at defending set pieces hasn't been a lot better than what it was last season.
Do you not think we're still very unorganised within set pieces, though, for a professional club?
Yeah, because we do zonal mark. We do zonal marking. It doesn't work at all.
And I
We
think
zonal mark on the attack, though.
It's what happens when you play a centre mid at centre back as well from a corner.
Literally.
Yeah.
That penalty he gave away at Swansea just typifies it.
I'm sure at one point as well earlier on in the season he didn't jump for something and someone just got a free header and won 1-0. Just ignored the thing, or Patterson didn't dive for it, or something like that. Anyway,
I'm trying to think what game.
It's quite early on in the season, I think, but there was definitely one. It was at home.
So Conrad Tag says, if Pritchard refused to be put in the squad before the match and added extra commotion, then he can bugger off. What was your take on the whole Pritchard announcement then, Emma? Because we've had all our 2 cents.
The timing of it was absolute shite from the club, if I'm honest. Like, what, 5 minutes?
Or genius. Distraction. Smoke and mirrors and all that. You can't see me, John Cena. Royal Rumble tonight.
It was sort of like, 5 minutes before the team news came out, and it was just like, right, well, it said in the club statement that they hadn't knew about this yesterday, so why not put it out yesterday? Why wait until today? Are they trying to take the pressure away from Beale so everybody then focuses on Pritchard? But then I'm also thinking it's to stop the fans boycotting the club, because the fans, half them, some of them had already been in the stadium. Most of the fans are already in Sunderland at that point, heading towards the ground. So it was like, right, well, we'll release this and we'll still get the crowd in. So to make me think, well, how much are they relying on the crowd here?
I said the same.
If that makes any sort of sense. I mean,
yeah, I think they're hiding it. I think, like, if you'd have done it yesterday, you've got time for people to get angry about it and bring it into today's game. Whereas if you announce it as they're already there, they're like, what the bloody hell's gone on here? They're just shocked at that moment. They don't really have any aggression about it. You then forget that you're angry about Michael Beale anyway, because you're more concerned, hang on, one of our best players is refusing to play and leaving. Like, where's all this come from? And all of a sudden, that doesn't create a toxic atmosphere. It creates a flat, sort of silent atmosphere, which is exactly what they got.
Yeah. It could be genius, and I think you might not be far wrong there, to be fair. If there's anything these guys are good at, it's manipulating the crowd.
But we say that. They did then still paint our bar black and white. Like,
yes, but which took the focus off the players on the derby. So,
and that went so well, because then Beale came in and played it out from the back, and they brought all the focus back onto himself.
So Stephen Clark should be, on the screen. He should be awarded something. I don't know, because he just reads my mind. We need to get rid of Dak. He is as much use as a rubber-beaked woodpecker. I agree. Couldn't agree more.
He doesn't even need that much money. His missus will be minted off of Love Island or whatever trash they were on.
Olivia Atwood.
Yeah, that one.
So I think we mentioned this earlier, but he says, Steele's Mick D says, was Ekwah playing more advanced because no other options? But if so, it worked. I don't think it was no other options. It was a change in tactic, like you said, Conrad, right? That's what we're thinking.
Yeah, I think they just seem to... Instead of it being like we did before, the 4-2-3-1, I think it seemed to be that we actually would go with 4-1-4-1. So that you'd have 2 midfielders pushing on, as well as your wider players in Barr and Clark. Just sort of this almost overload at the edge of the box, or people bursting in with him. The Frank Lampard-esque runs into the box, because even in the first half, every chance we got, or every sort of missed opportunity or lack of a pass in the final third, we had 3 or 4 players in their box, whereas before you would see people like Clark cutting inside and there'd be the one striker and there might be the other winger just sort of floating, didn't really know where it was, and then it just seemed to be we actually were more, what's the way of saying it, but just more present, I guess is the way of saying it, and more sort of driven in, rather than like we said before, where we would just sort of standoffish and we'll wait for it to come back. We might recycle play. It maybe have a negative way. I know, Jacob, you were saying if we played someone good like Southampton or Leicester, we'd have been caught out a couple of times. And you're probably right that in the transition of them taking it back from the box, if we'd have then lost the ball with all those players forward and they broke as quickly as like a Southampton can, then you're in trouble. So you might not be able to do it in that sort of game. But in a game like this against a pretty poor Stoke side, which they were, let's not kid ourselves, they weren't very good today. We were able to just sort of overload them and just sort of make sure that we got a number of chances to take our 3 efforts.
Well, we may have to adjust our game at Borough next week a little bit, because we're nowhere near going to have as much as the ball as what we had today.
No, and we'll have to be a bit more. So our second goal was a prime example of how quickly we got the ball out to Barr. He held it up and just fired it across the pitch to Clark, who did what Clark does best and drive at the teams. They also weren't doubling up on Jack Clark or even trebling up like Hull were doing the other night, so he got a lot more freedom today. Whereas I could see them, I don't quite know if he's injured or not, but Isaiah Jones at Borough hasn't played. He didn't play against Chelsea. I don't know if he was injured or not, but I could easily see him coming back in and them going, we need 2 on Clark at all times, just to sort of cut that off from them, because he creates for us and he gets us in behind. Barr doesn't quite do that on the other side. He does different things, but it's just not as productive as Clark is.
Barr can beat one man, but I don't think he can beat 2 at this moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, so we've got... Sorry, go on.
Go for it.
No.
What did you think of Chris Rigg when you brought him on?
Oh, there was a comment before that summed it up perfectly. That's exactly what I thought.
I clicked it at the same time.
I was a bit like, I forgot, like Jacob again said earlier on, he went, I forgot Bairstow was playing. 30 seconds later, he scored, though. But I actually forgot Job was there today. Like, until they filmed his brother in the crowd, and I went, oh, yeah, he's playing. And then Chris Rigg came on. Yeah, he didn't do anything major, but you were just sort of like, I think it's time that these two, they're only a year or two older than each other, just keep swapping them in and out. Just let Rigg get some experience and get him playing, and give Job a bit of time off, because Rigg will be desperate to try and play, especially because he's in this in this 1 year where he can literally play as much as he likes for us and then sack us off if he wants to, because of the age he is. He'll be desperate to play now so that someone bigger did come in if he didn't really want to be here. Hopefully not Newcastle, but that's what I would be like. I'd be like, I really want to play. And then you've got Job in front of you who, he's a quality player, but bless him, it's not working at the moment. So just have a bit of time out, readjust, and then get yourself back in that team. It worked for Barr. Barr was quite good at the start, kept Roberts out the team, if we remember, for a few weeks, and then had a bit of a tail off, and we were all like, God, he's rubbish. He came back in and we went, who's this? Where's he been for the past few weeks? So it can work.
Beale will always stick with a 3 in the middle rather than a 2. He will always persist with that. He won't change in that department. But today basically sums up why Ekwa needs to be playing in that role, in behind the forward man. He's a presser. You know, he can unleash a decent shot. You know, he's got creativity as well. It doesn't... Him playing as a holder, he's just like wasted in that area of the pitch. But then again, if we do that, would you trust Ekwa going forward? And because whatever happens, he'll find any way, shape or form to put Job in the starting lineup and go with a 3 in the midfield. He won't. Would you trust Job playing as a holding midfielder right now? Definitely not.
Not really. He's very good at box to box, and he can put lots of tackles in and win us the ball back. Same as Dan Neil, same as Ekwa's showing. But any of them as a sitting midfielder is not really what we want from any of them, as Ekwa has shown. And as we guess and see from the way Neil and Joe play best.
Neil can just do anything, though. He's Mr. Majestic. Can play defensive, can play box to box, can play as a number 10. Dan Neil just is the way. I think Michael Beale basically, well, I hope he stays for the future, but the way how he's playing right now, he could be linked with moves in the summer. You know, that man, I know people talk about Clark, but yeah, we'd be way further down that division if it weren't for Dan Neil.
Yeah, I agree. Ian Wilkinson says Job's position is getting in the way. Can't play a ball to forward. It all has to go through him. I do think the same. He's been a bit lost. I don't know if it's just needing a rest or he's playing not quite how he wants to play. Like Ekwa, we've seen over the last few games where we're playing him and he's not quite comfortable where we're playing him. So I don't know if it's a case of that. There's 100 people watching, though. I assume you've all hit the like button, so I assume we're on over 100 likes. If not, do it now. I will put this comment on for about 3 seconds, so watch closely. And that's all you're having. We've got one
like on the BBC when they do like interest of fairness on party political broadcast, and they go, and here's the Lib Dems. Did you enjoy it? Right, bye. Like that type of thing.
That's pretty much what it was.
Yeah.
Stephen Clark, Beale was asked about Pritch. Beale's response, he's coming to at the end of his contract. He's been offered one. I think mentally it has got a bit much for him. Beale's choice of words is extraordinary. Interesting.
Yes, it's that's an interesting way of putting it. I still think it's a case of he wanted 2 years. I don't think the money thing's an issue for him. Otherwise, he would have asked in the summer, why the hell is Dak getting nearly 3 times as much as me when he's injury prone and he's not even playing, and I'm doing better than he did last season anyway. You had someone in there, and you could have just offered a 2-year deal. It wouldn't have hurt. Yeah, he's 31, but you could have then sold him this summer if you wanted. You'd have still had the option of doing it. It just seemed just a really weird way of saying it, almost like a company man trying to defend his company rather than the real issue.
What happens if there's no offers in after we've refused the last offer for Pritchard and the transfer window shuts? Is he going to refuse to play for 6 months?
Technically
Probably.
now, though, is he not?
Players have done it
just-
before.
I was going to say, is he not technically like a free agent now? He's basically said he has the contract ripped it up type thing, and he's paying them to get out of it. Maybe
Not quite. I think it might end up going that way, because then the only time he can sign for people is after the transfer window. In a weird way, I think when you become a free agent, if you become a free agent in the month it's in, you have to wait till the window closes before you can move. So that could happen, but no, he's still very much our player until his contract ends in June. So if he refused to play, he would just sit there doing a Jack Rodwell basically for 5 months, and then
Mesut Ozil.
Yeah, and just sort of swan it off, which I don't think he really wants to do, because I know you mentioned it before. I think that isn't this kind of how we got him 3 years ago, that he was in a sort of similar position with a club, and then we sort of went, right, well, we'll have you then, and sort of used it to our advantage at that time. So who's in the playoffs in League One? Would you do that? Just do it again, rinse and repeat.
What's that?
That's how we got him, because sort of I think he's in a similar position, this Pritchard.
Yeah.
That sort of, he's not going to get a new deal, but he doesn't want to play for them, so someone would swan in and pick him up, which is exactly what we did.
Yeah.
So you don't know if someone like Stoke or Birmingham would do the same thing.
No, I think he's got more than a year in the tank. I just think we should have offered him a contract that shows his value. We should have give him an offer, make him an offer he couldn't refuse. Would have been my take on it. So
I think personally, it's a lot to do with Beale.
Yeah.
Because I mean, look at the other week when Pritchard had words for Beale as he got subbed off. I think it's a case of, right, you're playing this model. I don't want to. I disagree with you. I'm not playing under you no more. I'm not putting up with this crap from the club. I think he's seen what's going on behind the scenes. He's just like, nah, I'm not doing it.
Jason Black says he's gone. He's gone to a Swiss club. Has this been announced? Does anyone know anything about this?
Someone after sacrifice going off. Well,
I'll have a look.
But Conrad can do it.
I'm already on it. 101 of you in the chat. Thank you for joining us tonight. Don't forget to have your say. We're pulling up as many comments as we can. If we miss you, sorry, or we don't like your comment. That's one of the two.
Nothing yet.
Hope to see some of you at Borough next week as well.
Yeah, on Beale.
Buy him a pint.
I'll go around the table for this one. On Beale, we've got Middlesbrough coming up. Obviously, a massive game. It's not a derby, or some people say it is a derby. I don't say it is.
It's a derby if we win.
It's a derby if we win. But has your opinions changed on Beale? Should he be given the benefit of the doubt running up to the Middlesbrough game? Or if you had the choice, would you change manager now before the Middlesbrough game? I'll start with you, Conrad.
I think I said before, I think he's bought himself 1 week for me, and it's very much going to be a week-by-week basis. There was a comment really early on that sort of said he now needs to go on a winning streak, or at least an unbeaten streak of 9 or 10 for me to be sort of like, maybe I was judging him too early. However, some of the stuff he said is kind of the reason he's got judged early, not necessarily we can all accept we've had managers that have played poor football, Parkinson and ones like that, but he never openly after 4 games went, well, these fans just aren't good enough and they're just outside noise. He just didn't do it. So that's what I think didn't help, and it lumped on the fact that he was playing poor as well. But he's bought a week. If we lose, it's you have to go. Like, we can't lose 3 derbies in a row this season, 2 of which are not derbies and 1 doesn't count because it's an FA Cup and you spent £500 million to beat us. Well done, you. But we can't lose 3 in a row.
So you're going to hold off on the Beale out hashtags for another week.
I'm just sort of like, you don't really sack a winning manager unless you've got something better lined up. And looking at when they sacked Mowbray, they didn't even have something better lined up then. So I very much doubt they've got something in the pipeline now. So he's won a game. Great. You've got until Sunday at 3:00 next week for me to win. And if you've won that, great. You've got until the Saturday afterwards or something like that. If you win that, okay, maybe I'll give you 2 games. Let's see how we go.
But are we really expecting to go to Borough and have a similar performance to what we did today? I'm not.
No.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Have you seen our record at there, Gav?
No, I don't. Yeah, history's history.
Spat on. Going to the Riverside, mate. I can't stand it. The only time I've probably seen us win. Well, it was assessing your extra time goal in the cup, but
I was at that one as well.
Yeah. That's probably the only time since supporting the club I've ever seen us win there.
So, Emma, you came in with Beale out, Beale out, Beale out. So we might know your feelings already, but more so for you, what would change your mind on that?
What would change my mind on to keep Beale?
Yeah.
Ahmad, Kiefer
I'm
Moore,
not offering.
Mourinho.
Yeah, I'm not offering monetary bribes or anything. It's just
Jan Mvia.
Yeah, Jan Mvia, Kiefer Moore, Diallo.
No, because they're not Beale's decisions. That's bloody Speakman. Speakman needs to leave the bloody club, but that's another story for another day. But
to fire them all.
The whole lot needs to go. But for me to be Beale in, I can't see anything that would make me want to keep Beale in. He hasn't got the passion for the club. The style of football he plays is just it's shit. Basically, I can't see a future with Beale. But the thing is, hand on heart, I think we're going to have to get used to him because he's here to stay. They're not just going to sack him. We've discussed this. They're not just going to. He's got a two-year contract. They're not just going to pay him off and get rid of him after a few games. He's here for the long run, unfortunately. But the thing that would make me feel it is if we get automatic promotion this year. There you go.
I think we need Ahmad in for that one. Jacob, we had a bit of your thoughts, but on Beale, you originally defended him, as did I, and then you started to lose a bit of faith. Has this changed you back again? Are you optimistic?
I think the main problem at the club at the moment is definitely the ownership. I do agree in the sense that Beale has been an easy target to pick on with the whole of the problems the club are having at this moment in time and the problems that we have had, the stadium debacle in the build-up to the derby, the recruitment in terms of transfers this window, not being able to bring in a striker, which is poor as far as I'm concerned. The club will probably come up with some sour excuses for that. But yeah, it's still, for me, I can understand the frustration there, why people are on his back, but it is still very, very early days. How many games has he had now? 7?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you ask Beale, he said 10 now. He makes things up like he did on that other press conference the other day. He counts Mike Dodd's games.
It was what he said about, which I found really strange about. I haven't worked in London for about 10 years. Then again, he used to manage QPR.
Literally at QPR, mate.
Yeah. Which I thought, hang on a minute, what's going on here? But
and I've had 4 wins. You mean you've had 2? Mike Dodd's got 2 as well. You weren't here at that point. They don't count.
He'll try and claim that, but
he did. He literally did in his press conference. He went, I've had 4 out of 9 wins. It's like, you've only managed 6 games or 7 games if we include the cup. Like, you can't have those other 2 wins.
Yeah, well, I'm reserved on it. It's I'm not quite going to print out my trust in Beale posters just yet again. But we'll give him till Middlesbrough. But if he does something stupid, like Alfie says, so now Burstow has scored, does that mean Hamir will start against Borough?
I said this in our group. I went, watching, he scored now, he'll be whipped off at half time.
Yeah.
How they decide on who plays up front is just basically through like a lottery. Surely,
it's literally got a dice.
Mason, do you fancy a game tomorrow? Next week it will be Rushin.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah.
Imagine if he actually comes out and says, I'm just doing it just to make sure they're all properly rested, and then Bellingham's in the corner going, it's fine. Oh, I could go another game. It's like you're rotating all 4 strikers. Well done.
Yeah.
Hey, little man, is he playing next week?
Yeah, he might as well, you know. He's quite a good little player. He's got a hell of a little kick. He fell asleep first half. That's what he thought of it today.
Tavlas. Okay. T says Beale's doing everything in his power to alienate himself from the fans by his comments, which I'd kind of agree with recently, but actually his post-match interview was the first time he's said positive things about the fans. So maybe the Sunderland PR guys grabbed hold of him and shook him for a while, told him what the score is with that. So David Brown says, Speakman out, then Mike can get on with his job properly.
I think he means your job.
Yeah,
you can stop all this Beale stuff and actually do your own job.
Well, this is true. I hope my boss isn't watching. Stephen Clark, just seen the wages for our team. Penny pinching. Yes, we had a discussion on that not so long ago. And yeah, the wages are ridiculous. Bradley Dack's one of the highest paid players. I will say no more than that. So Stephen Amos is trying to take us off on a tangent here. What would the panel think of signing a striker, and who would they like? Jacob, have you seen Armstrong from QPR? Young, powerful striker. We need presence in the box. Someone who can hold up the ball. Do you know who he's talking about there, Jacob?
I'm trying to think whether he played against her earlier in the season, that 3-1 win. I don't think he did. I'm trying to remember. It's not the first Armstrong that comes to my head for that division's Adam. But
you're thinking of Adam Armstrong at Southampton, aren't you?
No. Well, I mean, I wouldn't mind him. 100%. Even forget the whole Newcastle stuff. We did sign Chops in the Premier League, but yeah. Do
you think we can sign a striker? And I know we need an experienced striker. Don't get me wrong, but with the amount of strikers on the books, can we sign one? Because what game time is Rusyn, Hamir, Mayenda? Mayenda did well when he came on, and we've not seen him since. Have we got too many to possibly sign a striker?
It's up for debate, isn't it? Right now, but I just don't know what. But then again, I think there's an argument with particularly Rusyn. Was he signed to be an out-and-out striker or like a false 9/winger?
Like Gelhardt.
Conrad, what's your take? What do you think? Do you think we should sign a striker, or do you think it's just going to be overkill if we've got 7 to pick from?
They wouldn't sign one unless one was going out somewhere. I don't think. I'd love to get Kiefer Moore just for his experience up top and the way he bullies defences. I think that would really help us out, especially if he was knocking things down for the midfielders or the wingers especially, but I just don't see it happening. Just before you ask Emma, I just saw that Alfie had asked this one. I think the banner said something like, high performance culture from the background noise. So it was clearly aimed at Beale, but it was only up very briefly. I'm not saying they ran in and like took it off him or anything, but it was something along that where I think we were just trying to sort of say, you know, we're not just background noise mates. But
where are you at on signing strikers then, Emma?
We need them. We don't need them. We need a whole midfielder. We need somebody to get the ball to these strikers. These lads need to be given the chance. And I'm sorry, but they should have been given that chance before now. So come January, we knew if we needed one.
Yeah,
we need a stronger spine. That's
what.
But
the thing is, if we're saying experienced striker, it's not going to fit in with the club, because this club does not want an experienced player on that goddamn pitch.
No.
I think we'll be proved wrong when they announce Villa on deadline day.
In an ideal, Philly's next to his taxi going, "What do you think?" He says, "What do you think?" in French this time instead of Defoe did it before.
No, he'll be going to Newcastle Airport, and he's been at the airport for about six or 7 years.
The club still won't answer my calls, and it's like, it's all those emotions coming back again. If we actually bought a bit of a spine of our team, so I like our attacking midfielders and our driving central midfields. I think we've got good depth there, good sort of players. But if we had an actual leading striker, a bit like Stewart, like last season, so Kiefer Moore would fit that role. If we had a proper defensive midfielder, Yann Villa wasn't a defensive midfielder. However, with his age and maybe his legs going, he would probably sit there better than any of the others, and sort of means that he could have a bit of a slow one. I'm all right with Ballard as our strong centre-back. I really just don't like Luke O'Nien at centre-back. He proves he has a good game all the time, but someone said in the comments before, if we put O'Nien out at right back like he used to be and Seal in the middle, it would just make me feel just a little bit better, although Seal's class on the right-hand side. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think with the drama and last minute that this club likes, I wouldn't be surprised if Villa's already signed the contract and it's all a done deal. We're just keeping it quiet until 10:59 on transfer day.
We'll have to break the glass that Philly's kept in case of deadline day.
Yeah. Keno says, careful what you wish for when you want Speakman and KLD out. Who brought in Ballard, Sealt, Clark, Roberts? He won't get rid 100% of the time. He won't get it right 100% of the time. Do you think owners lining up to take us over? Yes, Story. Lining up.
He's been lined up for about 3 or 4 years.
He's still having a whip round for his own money, man, that guy.
I kind of agree with Keno, and he has brought in good players, or he's brought in players that we weren't sure and they came good. And obviously you can't get it right all the time, but it's more so that when we see there is an issue and a player needed for a certain position, it doesn't seem to be addressed. Instead, we sign this guy, all these hot prospects that are going to make us money in the future, but we're not addressing the issue. Look at the state of our goalkeepers. Like, if something happens to Patterson, our season's over right now. Let's be honest. So, what do you think about the owners? Obviously, we've gone around the table with Beale. So let's go around with Speakman and KLD. Conrad.
It's a bit of a, because I sit on the fence on this one of, they've done a lot wrong lately. So, and there's a recency bias within that. However, and I know people always say, this is the argument that always gets thrown up. Look where we were when they came in, and then look at where we are now. Yes, we cannot be happy with things now. That doesn't mean that they're, untouchable because of where we are. And I think I said a few weeks back, maybe they need to realise that their model has got them so far and they need to make a change, and hopefully they will make that change with it. I don't hate them. I really disliked them for the Newcastle stuff that went on, but that's nothing to do with the players or the model or anything like that. We've had class players in the last year. We've had 2 of them are made of glass that I was about to list, but they are good in Elise and Sirkin. They're absolutely fantastic. I mean, Michu was great for the year that we had him on loan, and if you asked us now, could we have him back? I'd take him in a heartbeat at the moment. Bellingham has been good. If it wasn't for dodgy linesmen, he would have scored 7, not 4 this season. The strikers haven't really worked out. That's a bit of a shame, but I think they went for a scattergun approach of we'll get one of each type of striker and we'll just see what fits. And so far, none of them have. The centre-backs are a bit worrying that they were like, right, we clearly need better there. So let's get Sealed, who will play out of position, and Triantis, who doesn't really get a game at all at this moment. I'm sort of forgetting what the original point of the question was, so I'm just going to keep rambling.
Owners in or out? Owners in or out?
I'm still in, However, you're on very thin ice because it's so like if we get to transfer deadline day and they're just like, nah, we'll just not bother at all. Or even if they come out with some sort of shite that's, just the right player wasn't out there, and you're a bit like, bollocks. There's loads of players out there who would have come in and done a job for us. Loads of experienced players that we could have got. You just didn't want to.
Jacob, owners, what do you think? KLD, Speakman, are they right for the club, or is it a case of we need hopefully get a takeover at some point?
Takeover at some point for me.
Yeah,
I think it was completely done and dusted after the Newcastle debacle. To be honest, I think that was the final nail in the coffin. So at this moment in time, I am KLD out.
Okay. Emma, we'll come to you last. We know your feelings on Speakman, but what about him and KLD as a partnership there? I was
going to say, can you give us 2 minutes while having a taxi for Speakman? I'll get a bit more from the AOL. No, I'm both out for both of them. KLD, to be fair, KLD, I think he's getting the wrong advisors in and he's getting the wrong team below him. And as Jacob said, once what happened with the Newcastle game, I think that's put the nail in the coffin for a lot of us fans because they don't know this club. And we need somebody in charge that knows the club and knows the pride and the passion that we have as Sunderland fans.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to talk about the minutes later this week. It does seem like from a brief overview from it that KLD was very much like, I'm not saying much unless I'm addressed in this. And it was a lot of Stuart Donald and the others who were talking about the decisions that had been made. And I don't know if that's because of a language barrier necessarily. It felt a bit like Donald's talking a lot for someone who should have less involvement in all of this. As a brief overview, we haven't quite gone through it all yet.
Wasn't wanting to address anything or say anything, basically. I took that away from it myself.
So even if we go down the route of he's been poorly advised, and maybe he's embarrassed by this and then almost doesn't want to attach himself to the blame because then he knows that's pretty much it, done and dusted for him. But I don't know, because didn't the club put a statement out and then he almost said something as he put something out on his own Instagram at the time on the Newcastle one when it was painting the bar for their players, their fans, which you would never normally see. Normally the club statement would encompass all that was said. So unless they've done like we need to defend ourselves as a club and he's gone, okay, I'm all right with that, but I still feel the need to say something about my position. Maybe. I'm just sort of trying to read between the lines on it all.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I don't think either of them's doing a terrible job compared if we literally put them alongside owners we've had in the past.
I mean, at least we're not spaffing £4 million on Will Grigg anymore.
Yeah.
4 pence on someone else.
Well, that's the question. Would you rather have somebody sat in the office offering ridiculous money for a mediocre player so we get a signing in than them say the right player wasn't there? That's the thing. It's.
They did this last year, though, didn't they? Sims got recalled and they went for Geldhart and then Stewart got injured and we were all like, they need somebody else, and they just didn't. And it was a bit like but then you can say, did people know that we were desperate for a striker and just adding silly money on to things? Because it's a bit like when anyone has any money left now or gets announced, they've got an absolute war chest of a transfer fund. You just see them go and you go, right, cool, let's add 10 million onto that value. Like, is that what it was?
Yeah.
I'm maybe being very generous. I feel like I am. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Anyway, guys, I need to shoot off, but yeah, good win today. Keep the faith and roll on Thursday as we speak about the A19 derby, whether it's a derby or not.
Transfer deadline day.
Absolutely, on Thursday, I believe.
It is Thursday, 11 o'clock.
Straight after the show, yeah.
Yeah, we're hoping someone will be at the Academy of Light, camped out, trespassing, parent doors, and all that sort of stuff for
watch
us.
This space.
We need 2 security guards, not just the one. They're going to climb the wall again.
All right,
yeah. Johnny Jacob. All right, we've got 113 people in. I don't think we'll be on too much longer, so make sure you get your questions in. Ian Wilkinson said, yeah, and don't forget to hit like. I assume they've already hit like. This is why I don't need to say it, because we've obviously
not.
Oh my God. Ian Wilkinson, is the current team better than the team that played Wickham?
I'll let you
That's
go,
interesting. Oh, no, she's coughing.
She's
I'll
coughing
go.
Okay.
I think yes. I would say yes. I think the quality in the team is better. I think the cohesion in the team is not as good. So I don't think it's as well gelled team like together as a unit. But I think individual talents are a lot better. That would be my take on that one. Where would you stand with that one, Emma?
Yes, sorry, my chest starting up. I'm getting a bit of a cold and in my chest, so it's like.
You all
right? In terms of, are we better now than what?
Then the playoff final team. Is this team of 11 that started today better than the 11 that started that day? Do you want me to read them out for you?
Some individual players, yes. But as a team, I'd say we are given where we've come to. Look where we finished last season. Look where we're sitting so far this season. So I'd say yes, but we're not as. Well, I'm trying to think what's the word I'm looking for. We're not as wanting it as much, if you like. We don't want it as much as what we did when we played Wickham.
So,
yeah,
I look at it, and I will, Ian. I'll do that right now. So, obviously, today's team, you've got Patterson, Sealed, Ballard, 09, Hume in the back line. So, 2 of those started that day, and the other 3... Hume didn't, but he was at the club at that time. But he didn't get games in League One, if you remember. He sort of came into it in last season. Sealt and Ballard joined the club after. Dan Neil started today. Dan Neil was on the bench against Wickham and was a sort of bit part player in that season. Jack Clark obviously started. He was on the bench that day and came on. And if we're honest, wasn't amazing for us in League One. We've, of course, got Bellingham, Ekwa, Barr and Bairstow, who weren't at the club when we did play back then. But go into the lineup that day. So you got the ones that are the same. You got Patterson, Sirkin is here, but yeah, Corey Evans is here. Luke O'Nien started. Pritchard started. Patrick Roberts started. Embleton started, but has he just gone on loan or come back on loan? There was something I read the other day. And Stewart, of course. So Gooch gone. Bailey Wright gone. Danny Bath gone. And then you've got injuries to Sirkin and Evans. Pritchard going, Embleton being phased out, Stewart gone.
Yeah.
Are they better? Striker-wise, yes, because Stewart clearly proved that he could do it in this level. He only played 13 games for us last season and still got 10. So I think, yes, we have a better striker. Do we have better attacking midfielders now than we do there? Well, 2 are the same, but one he's leaving. But Jack Clark has infinitely come on since where he was that day. Our midfield of Corey Evans and 09 to our midfield now of, what is it? You'd say Bellingham, Neil and Ekwa.
Yeah.
We miss Evans, to be fair.
We do. We miss someone sitting, is what we were saying before. We missed that sitting player.
Yeah. I've slated Evans time and time again on this channel, but we need him.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And then Sirkin at left back, who I do think is brilliant. It's just he's made of glass. And Danny Bath, who we all said we shouldn't have let go. He was arguably our player of the season last year behind Ahmad. And you're a bit like, why did we let him go? Oh, because he's old. Right. Is he old? No, not really. He's 31. Bailey Wright, I think we all knew at the time, that was the sort of like, that was the best we were going to get in that league. But it was a sort of, cheers for that, mate. Off you pop, like, see you later, mate. And Gooch, I don't really think we should have got rid of Gooch because he's such a utility man for us. And even today, yeah, right there. even today, lots of our fans were sort of talking about, oh God, their right back looks class. Maybe we should go for him. Just jokes like that.
Just on the back of Gooch, I was absolutely over the moon that when he got took off, best part of our stadium stood up and applauded him.
I think it was nice from their manager because I don't think they needed to take him off. I think they probably just went, we will, just because of, we know what's going on. I think it was really nice of them to sort of just think, well, take him off. Let's give the fans a moment to say bye, because we never really got that. It still feels weird seeing him in another shirt. It really does feel wrong. I know we can probably do better. I'd say Hume's better, and Huggins, when he plays, I think is better. But Gooch just had some sort of link up with the rest of the team that just seemed to work last season and wasn't as infuriating as the Gooch we'd known for the 3 or 4 years before.
That's what I think's missing in this team, that bit of camaraderie like that. And it's a shame to see someone like Pritchard go for that very reason, because I think he's kind of one of those players as well.
So in answer to the question of, was the team better than that Wickham game? I think they're on par, really. A couple of, like, the centre-backs, probably are better, because O'Nien, I'm still not convinced on O'Nien, but Ballard is better than what we had at centre-back on there. And Clark has come on since we've got him. Just the striker and, like Emma said, the defensive midfield is what we're missing.
Yeah. With regards to what we're missing, Alfie's asking, so what players do you think we will get realistically? And I think that list's endless. I don't think we should start naming loads of players necessarily, but obviously Ahmad and Mvia is the two that's been like shouted about. Do you think either of them are prospects at this stage?
We're getting none.
What, Emma?
No player coming in. None.
Don't listen to Emma and tune in to our transfer deadline show.
We're going to sign all the players. No, I agree with Emma. It's probably looking likely we're not going to get anybody, and why would we bother? I have seen, the only thing I keep seeing is that we're still asking about Ahmad, but when they've got Anthony, who's crap, when they've got rid of Sancho, and Man United aren't doing that well anyway, if there was ever a time they were going to give him a go, it was going to be these 4 months here, and not just sort of go, out you go, this would be it. But I still feel a bit like, as we've said before, that Sunderland, when they get a player, that's all they want. They're a bit blinded by that one player. And I said to you, Mike, didn't I? I said the player that Hull got, Carvajal or Carvalho, whatever, however we pronounced it, I was a bit like, we should have been all over that. But we're probably so in our own sights of, it's Ahmad. We can only go for Ahmad. That's the only one we want. And it's a bit like, maybe look somewhere else. He was a class player as well. So why didn't we go for that? And then, oh, look, he scored. And he's playing well. Great.
Yeah.
I think we get a bit like, who was the other one? There's ones in the Premier League where we've wanted them. We wanted Danny Graham for years. Didn't get him. O'Neill came in, got him, and he was crap. And then we wanted, who was it? Will Grigg, we just refused to let go, instead of then maybe offering Madger a better deal or trying to find somebody else. We just hung it all on this one player that we were like, yeah, we want him. That's the only one we want.
Sorry.
You're all dying now. I hope this isn't contagious.
It's catching.
But that was the same sort of thing with Defoe. If you remember, on deadline day, everybody was just solely focused on Defoe.
Yeah, and that turned out really well.
I always remember this bit. So, in the Sunderland Till I Die, when they're doing that, they're talking about transfers, and I don't know who was in charge at the time. It's in season 1, but it's when you've got Grayson or Coleman, and they've got the list of players on the board who they're going to try and sign, and Martin Baines in there listening to it. 3 of the players that are on that board we signed in the next 2 or 3 windows or years, and we've changed manager 5-6 times within there, and you're a bit like, they get someone in mind and they just go, that's it, can't look anywhere else. We've done the research, we've got to stick with it. And you're a bit like, well, hang on, the way Jack Ross played was completely different to the way Phil Parkinson played. The way that Lee Johnson played was completely different to the way Parkinson played. Yeah, there was a bit of consistency between Johnson and Neil. I just think Neil was a bit more tight on our defence, really. But it just always seems like the club have gone, well, we've put this research in, we're not wasting it, lads, you're having him. Deal with it.
Yeah. I think we're going to get both of them. I think we'll get Ahmad and Mvia. I think And Villa's already a done deal, and they're just holding back,
Is it
for the
bad
drama.
Is it bad that out of them, like out of the ones we mentioned tonight, I would actually prefer Kiefer Moore over all three of them?
I would prefer Langstaff over all of them.
I don't know who that is.
Macaulay Langstaff. He's the one we were linked from Notts County. Scored like every single game in their season, and I know that's a massive drop down in league, but you can watch a lot about him. And
are we not better than shopping on potential from leagues below now when we've got 4 strikers that are all on potential? Do we not now need to go someone who actually scores at this level?
I think he's stepped up from non-league to League 2 and not stopped scoring. I think we should get him. I would nail him down straight away. Not necessarily as we need him to replace the others, but I think he's a good player.
Just clicking all the comments that agree with me.
Sorry.
Get off. He agrees with me. Get off.
Let's get rid of that. For God's sake. There's an interesting one. I didn't even know he was on the market. But would you get Danny Rose back till the end of the season on a free left back?
He's a miserable bastard. I mean,
how old's Danny Rose?
I'm going to go speak to Daniel Levy about this, Jose, because you're not playing me. It's like, no, like, absolutely not. Like,
33. He doesn't fit in the model. He's
he would want more than £6. So
that's the problem.
Yeah, no, not for me. There.
You want to do the agree game? Aaron agrees with me. I'd love Langstaff too. There we go.
I know, but I worry that we bring him in, and then we've got 5 strikers in that just aren't quite up to their potential yet and don't score in this league. And you're just like, for God's sake, lads, like, come on.
I honestly think if you put him next to the ones we've signed, stats-wise, he's your most potential
in League
for a
2
goal scorer.
and the conference, whatever it's called, underneath, like, it's a different... You've got players in this league that were playing in the Premier League last season. It's a completely different... It's a bit like when our players from Championship dropped down into League 1 and we didn't just piss the league because it was a completely different league of absolute shithouse defences that just kicked 7 shades out of you. He's going to come up and sort of think, oh, maybe I'm a bit more of a bully and I'll get in behind him. And they're a lot more smarter and technical than he is. I don't know. I'm happy to be proved wrong. I'm not saying no, but you know when you just feel like we've got 4 or 5 on potential, can we actually get someone in who has scored at this level?
Yeah. Can we though? So I'll pose it another way.
20 stone.
I'll put it another way. We're not willing to pay Kiefer Moore's wage. We're not willing to pay any wages above $6,000.
That's
by the looks
part of
it.
the model that should change. Like,
So,
I'm not asking break the bank. Well, that probably does for them. But I'm just asking, just consider what we need. I'm not asking you to go out and sign and put a bid in for like Dominic Solanke and pay 30 mil for him and hope he'll drop down a division. You're shopping at teams that are low end of the Premier League and you're shopping for their sort of like third best, really. But you could still sort of go, do you know what? It's 4 months. Let's give him a go. And then we'll worry about it from there.
Would you rate League 2 less ability than the Scottish leagues? Because as Sir Dan the Gamer says, it only takes one to kick on, like Ross Stewart, because we signed him.
I'd take someone from the SPL. I think the SPL is about this sort of level. Really, I mean, when it is some of the SPL teams used to shop at the teams that were getting promotion from this league. I think is it Roof at Leeds went on to play for Rangers. I always thought Moreles was a great player at Rangers when he was on his day, but I didn't ever think he was going to move to the Premier League, if you get me. Yelovich was the sort of best one they had at Rangers who went to Everton and did okay. Like,
yeah. Well,
type in.
Sorry, is that loud?
Yeah.
So it's difficult. I do think we'll get signings. I know you're both saying we won't get signings, but purely for the fact I want you all to tune in on our transfer deadline show, we will definitely get signings. Loads of them. Big high profile names. So right, where are we at with the comments? Tav says, agree we need an experienced striker. Don't need another inexperienced striker. We'd have 5 strikers sitting on the bench. But this is what I said before. We're going to have 4 strikers sitting on the bench if we get an experienced one in. So
no, we're not. We'll drop 2 of them. He scored off.
Yeah, this is it. with Beale ball, does that mean if we do get an experienced striker, he'll never play?
The only thing it's good for is if they're going right. Well, the Burstow scored this week, so let's do all our research on Burstow. And then when they get up there and they go, "Hey, is the team? He's not even playing. Who's this lad?" Like that's the only thing I can think that's good about it. That they have no idea what we're going to do.
Yeah. Well. I don't know. I really don't know. I think we're more likely to get someone like Langstaff purely based on budgets.
Yes, this. Can you tweet something like, yes, please, mate?
Yeah, ridiculous suggestions galore by all means. There's 108 of you watching. Make sure you've hit like and you subscribe to the channel. Loads of content from now up until February 2nd when we're all got our heads in our hands because we've signed
to have more content.
So yeah, make sure you get your questions in for the panel. Conrad, Middlesbrough, what's your prediction? Do you think we'll go out with the same team? Do you think he's going to change everything? Do you think he's learned from that?
It'd be very brave of him to play the same way today that he does away at Middlesbrough. However, the way he's played before that is absolutely turgid shite. So I think he's got to go for it, really, hasn't he? Or at least sort of go for it and sort of maybe settle on a draw, having put a good shift in, rather than get battered or just get overrun. But it'll certainly be an interesting one because I don't know if any of you watched Chelsea Borough the other night, apart from them being really open down their sort of like left-hand side. They actually scored the 2 better goals of the game. One of them was offside, I know, but they were actually all right at cutting through Chelsea, and this is a poor Chelsea side I'm saying, but I just worry a little bit. And would I take a draw? Maybe if things were going a bit differently for Beale, but at this time I'm sort of saying, no, you've got to go there and try and win. Like it's not a prediction of what I think will happen, but I'm sitting there going, you have to at least put effort in and go there like you're going to win that game. Because anything less than that is a bit of like or you're just settling. And we shouldn't be settling away at Borough when they're, I don't know whereabouts in the league they are, but they're not far behind us as far as I'm aware. I know they didn't play today because of the FA Cup, but we're 7th on 43 points, so level with Coventry. Borough down in 11th, but if they beat us, they're on the same points as us. If they beat us by 7, which let's hope they don't, they go above us in the play. Actually, if they beat us by 4, can't work out goal difference. If they beat us by 4, they're above us.
Do you think he's playing
like
for his? Do you think he's playing for his job every game now, Beale? You think he's every game is based on he's going to keep his job or not? Yeah.
Unfortunately not, because they're not going to get rid of him. They're not going to pay him off, unfortunately. So he could go out and lose 5 or 6-0 for 3 weeks running and would still keep him away.
Well, this is the one that I sort of relate to it the most. So when Parkinson got sacked, we were absolute shit, but we were only in like 9th or 10th, I want to say, a couple of points away from the playoffs, which is kind of where we're at now. So it's a very similar thing. And I think if Parkinson had turned 1 or 2 of those results into wins and we were in the playoffs, they wouldn't have done anything. They would have just let it roll and just see what happens. But I don't know if you remember that Burton game at home where it just completely turned and it was just like, no, this is unacceptable now. And I think it'll take something like that for them to go, we can't stand by this anymore. Like, I know they have to for their own sake, but at some point, if it goes that badly wrong, they'll have to do something. I don't know, which is not really the answer you want. It's just it just feels like a very similar Parkinson situation where we all know where this is going, but they're going to wait until the last possible moment of, right, we can't ignore this anymore. You've got to go.
So what about the fact that Ballard's now on 10 yellows?
He got a yellow card today, I know, but they didn't say that was his 10th, is it?
10 yellows, yeah.
I didn't realise it was 10 today.
Yeah.
So Sealt 09. Oh, you'll do Pembele, Sealt 09, and Hugh, probably.
Does that affect your prediction against Middlesbrough?
I mean, I think Pembele's been good when he's come on, and I think we do need to play him a bit more. Cheers, Jeff. But it's certainly at least sort of, because I know some managers stick with this and some don't. You don't change a winning side, and he's already been forced to. And he's got to drop Bairstow because he scored.
I think if we can run on and beat Middlesbrough comfortably, he'll have proved a lot, and he might turn a lot more off onto Beale in instead of Beale.
No, he'll have earned himself another week after that, and then he'll have earned each win earns him another week. Once he gets past 5 or 6, then I might say you've earned 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Don't forget, we don't like him because of his Cockney accent.
Yeah.
That's why we got rid of Jacob earlier on in the stream.
Yes. So, Emma, there's a specific challenge for you in the comments.
Say anything positive about this club.
The hand dryers worked today. No, sorry.
Yes, we won today. Hey,
Yeah.
we took 3 points. That's a positive.
Jeff says Beale, KLD in, Pritchard and Conrad out.
The running joke.
There we go. He's still here. He's not taking the hints. So there we go.
Not yet. I'm waiting for my new contract, but they're only offering me a 1-year deal on the same money.
Right, we've got 101 people watching. Make sure you smash that like. If you're new to the channel, hit subscribe. We'll have a massive live show on Thursday. We'll have our usual hours recap of the games and things like that. But then we'll go into our transfer show, which will go on till late night. I have coffee and whiskey standing by, depending on how good the news is.
You might end up doing the later parts on your own, though, Mike. I have a toddler.
It could be me. It could be just me. It could be just me. And
I'll definitely be here. I'll definitely be here for some of it, but I can't guarantee I can stay awake till 11 o'clock at night to watch us not sign anybody.
We're gonna sign everybody. It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good.
No, I think what we've got this week. So tomorrow we should have an extra time episode. That'll be me and you, maybe Wayne and Emma. If you want to join, you're more than welcome to as well. Monday we're gonna do something around the minutes from the channel, which I think is going to be a live stream. Jack Shield said he'd come on for that one. Mike's there as well because Mike does everything. And then anybody else who wants to join in on that one can. I feel like I've earned a day off. David Walker said Ballard's on 9 yellow cards because the Mags one doesn't count. Have that.
Nice.
Tuesday, we're doing the break and special of Beale getting sacked.
Oh yeah, we're ready. I've got my suit ironed and pressed, ready to go. I'll be there for a job interview to be like, how are you, man? Like, you know.
I've already printed off my Football Manager records, you know. They won't like my model of signing everybody that gets released from the Premier League because they're too old, but it works. David Brown says, where was French Dave today? Not currently on the injured list. Because he's done well in a game or something like that, he gets dropped. That's the Beale model. I think that's what we established before. Jeff's asking if Philly will be at the academy.
I don't think so. Hopefully we'll have someone down there breaking and entering, like we said before, parent doors and, you know, sneaking through windows and chatting up security guards, you know. So we'll have to see how we get on.
There's 100 of you watching. If anyone wants to volunteer for the job, get in touch with the channel. We're always looking for people to help out.
Who lives close to the AOL? Who can get there quickly on the drop of a hat?
Break in a day early, sleep in a cupboard, and then come out just at that point and walk around like you own the place.
No, just wear a high vis and a hard hat. You can get into anywhere.
Start moving furniture and they'll
carry a ladder. Carry a ladder. They'll let you in. David Walker, 9 yellows for Ballard. That's what you read out. Sky Sports are reporting 10 yellows, but I don't know if they're just rounding that off and it's not classed as a ban. So hopefully David's right on that one. Anyway, where are we at? SJ, isn't the deadline 11 p.m. Thursday? I thought it was on Wednesday night. No, it's definitely. We've had this discussion in our group, and many people got the wrong end of the stick for that. I was actually due to travel to Scotland at 5 p.m. on Thursday, so
not now.
The missus wasn't too pleased when I said we're going on Friday morning.
Yeah.
I've won her back with American pancakes for breakfast, so we're all good.
You go. Yeah, exactly. Priorities and that. No, we had this in the chat as well. Everyone thought it was the 31st, and it was like, it is not. It's Thursday the 1st. I know, I did. I was really strong on that one. I was like, it's Thursday, because I kept thinking, I wish it was the Wednesday because it would be an excuse for 2 videos for us. But now it'll probably be we'll go live at 7 on our usual time on Thursday, and somehow pad for 4 hours and see what happens.
That's right. I'm going to dig out my instruments. We'll have plenty of entertainment. It's not a problem.
I might do a quiz. We'll do a transfer deadline day quiz, maybe.
Oh, I like it.
Who did we sign this year? No one. You win. Yeah. Like, tune in next year. And the answer will be the same.
Jeff says, I like these random vlogs. That's some great feedback there from Jeff. I think we'll pretty much be done with this one now. We've exhausted all 3 of us out of talking waffle, and we're all waffled out for now. So we've got 93 people left in. Make sure you've hit like, even if you're just passing through and you accidentally clicked on this stream, hit the like before you leave. And the subscribe. And you can also become a member if you're active in the chat quite a lot. It's worth becoming a member. Trust me, I did, just so they'd see my comments and stop ignoring me. Conrad, would you like to say goodbyes?
See you later, everyone. Thanks for joining in again. So we'll try and do these a bit more after each game, unless it's a nighttime game, in which case we'll all be asleep by then. But yeah, thank you for joining, and keep an eye on the channel for the next few days. Lots of videos coming your way.
Excellent. Emma?
Yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. I know it's Saturday night when everybody should be sitting getting paid out the heads, and we'll probably see you all on Thursday for deadline day. And fingers crossed, we might actually make some signings. See you later, lads and lasses.
And from me, thank you for tuning in for our first Saturday Night Live for quite a while. So, Conrad's jumping in.
Behind the scenes, guys, are you going to press the end stream button this time, Mike, when the credits end, so that we don't just go?
I'll do it.
We're not just all sat here like chatting away and we're still on.
Yes, it's great. Professional here at SAFC Fan TV. So if you want to volunteer, this is the caliber of you're dealing with. Just be pre-warned. And I'll see you all in the next one.